Hey guys, and welcome back to the Jared Report, where we discuss everything that we love pop culture from movies to TV shows. So, you may have heard House of Dragon is back. Now, before I go into anything, just be warned, I am going to be going into full spoiler detail for the current episode, and also any of the prior two seasons is up for grabs. Now, after a long 2 years, we have finally returned. And before I get into the episode itself, I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here. First of all, the first season was absolutely amazing. I loved everything about it. I feel like it's one of the very few shows that I could watch with people just sitting around doing nothing but talking, but yet it's so intriguing the entire time. Like, for example, there's that whole funeral scene in the first season, and just just that whole time they're just sitting around talking. There's some drama going on, and I couldn't have been more intrigued. And then the second season comes around, and I'm over here thinking all hell is going to break loose because they just killed Rhaenyra's son Joffrey. And I felt like the second season really dragged, and unanimously, from everything that I've heard, was probably the weakest season out of the show so far. So I was still pretty excited for season three because even though I didn't necessarily love season two, season one was so amazing. And the show itself, even though season two was subpar, it was still an okay show and on Game of Thrones, quality level. But let me tell you what, man. I was looking and I saw HBO had put out a 14-minute recap of everything that has transpired in season one and season two. And it just got me thinking, like, what the fuck are these shows doing nowadays? Why is it taking so long to come out with these shows? I know the third season, I was watching some of the after credit stuff, and they were talking about how they filmed over 300 days. So, like, I'll give them grace there. And I even did some research and was like, okay, first season came out in 2022, second season came out in 2024, and now the new season's out in 2026. So it's about a 2 year age gap between each of them. But it still just had me thinking because, this show isn't the only one. We just went through Euphoria, and what was it, like 4 years before that with the second season that had come out? Like, I just, I'm going a bit on a tangent here, but it just really annoys me that these shows take forever to come out with things because I forget what has happened. And I had to watch the whole 14-minute recap for season one and two because even though it's been 2 years, which I guess is short nowadays, I don't fucking know what that's about, I still had trouble remembering everything that has happened. So anyway, that's food for thought. It doesn't have anything to do with the review. It just is something that has just gotten on my nerves and just continues to get on my nerves. But anyways, let's get into the episode itself. We had all initially heard that they were going to be doing the Battle of the Gullet, the first episode. So I was excited, I was pumped, I was ready to see some action. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good story. I was just talking about how in season 1 they're just sitting around in a room and talking, and it's, fucking captivating. But I do need a little bit of action here and there, especially with, a Game of Thrones show. And to be honest, guys, I was a little underwhelmed with the first episode back. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it was a bad episode. It wasn't bad by any means. It was still a solid episode. I just was expecting a little more antics. Ever since Joffrey died at the end of season one, when, his cousin killed him with his dragon, I've been expecting like some big event battle to happen. And when I heard about the Battle of the Gullet, I was pretty excited. I've never read the book, so I'm unfamiliar with everything. But it just felt like the whole episode was kind of poorly paced, and we kind of dragged in a few areas. Don't get me wrong, there were some intriguing things that did happen, but overall, it was a poorly paced episode, and the battle itself was just okay. Obviously, her son dying, Jace, at the end, totally unexpected. I did not think that was going to happen, but honestly, that little bastard had it coming to him the way he pulled that shit and tried to keep Rhaenyra trapped in a room. Um, But before I go any further on that, let's kind of go through the episode. So, if you remember anything at the end of season two, Alicent had come to Rhaenyra, trying to come with a peace proposal and made her way all the way to Dragonstone to propose everything in secret. And let me tell you what, it was all for fucking nothing because after everything that just happened, there is going to be no peace. And especially, like Aemond was supposed to go to Riverside to go help out, what was it, Cole and his uncle? And he's just like lingering there. So Alicent, like the whole episode is just like trying to push him away. But anyway, we open up. Rhaenyra's telling everyone about Allison's proposal. Her son is like, fuck no, like I don't believe her 1 second. And really, I think like at the end of the day, Alicent was like doing something honestly and like was trying to broker a peace still, but it feels like there's too many people involved to really get some sort of peace, especially with all the turmoil that has transpired over the last couple of seasons. So we open with Rhaenyra telling everyone Alicent makes her way back to the Red Keep, and is kind of trying to push Aemond out, telling him he needs to go to Riverside. She talks to her daughter, and then we get to see a little bit of Aegon. He's on the run with Larys Strong, and they end up getting captured by a bunch of like mercenary soldiers, where they're like, denounce the false king Aegon, and bend the knee to Rhaenyra Targaryen, the true queen. um, and Larys, he's a little fucking snake, so he does it right away. But Aegon is obviously hesitant to do so, and Larys turns on him in like a fucking switch of a button. So when they got captured, I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like, are we gonna get to see some Aegon and Rhaenyra together?" But no, that's pocketed, and it's put to the side probably for the next episode or two. And then we get a little bit of, I think her name is Rhaena. There's too many fucking R names with this family. Rhaena, um, the Bela's sister. She's over here trying to capture that wild dragon that she ends up calling Sheepstiller. And oh my god, dude, that dragon, it's fucking creepy looking. And they give it like the gnarliest underbite. So, we see a little bit of her trying to capture him, trying to tame his ass. And then like a little later down the episode, we get to see some of Corliss's scenes where he is making his way. I believe they were going to King's Landing. Um, but that adventure is cut short when the Triarchy end up, attacking them. Oh, but before that, I just remember too, we see like a one-shot scene of Damon, who is killing all of these black supporters, and then the Starks end up, coming into the fold. And again, like we get a little bit of a tease, and then it is gone, pocketed, probably for the next, couple episodes. So really, like for the remainder of the episode, we're going back between Corlys and then Rhaenyra talking with her council. Her and Jace are arguing about whether they believe that Alicent's peace treaty is a real thing, and Rhaenyra is trying to put pieces into play to take King's Landing. And ultimately, Jace ends up pulling some little scheme together, telling, her guard to keep her trapped in the room. You got to protect her from herself. And, they had heard about this attack on the sea snake, who was supposed to be making his way to King's Landing. And Rhaenyra, of course, always trying to throw herself into the fold. She's like, I got to do it, I'm gonna go change. And Jace ends up cutting her short, getting her trapped in the room, and him and Bela end up going together. So we cut to them coming in to save the day. But man, before we get to that, can I just say that the female captain who's in charge of the Triarchy, that keeps going back and forth with that Lannister twin, and just her character is so insufferable. Nothing to the actress, she's doing her thing, but I just could not stand her fucking character. So it kind of took me out of the battle a little bit. But anyway, Jace and Bela end up coming, and dude, fucking Jace like immediately gets hit with one of those fucking harpoon things, which was very reminiscent. What was it, like season 7 or 8 of Game of Thrones, when the fucking the I can't remember the fucking, like, the Golden Company or whatever the hell it was called, the one of the Greyjoy, that one dude who ends up trying to get into Cersei's pants. He comes and he fucking shoots down one of her dragons. So that scene when Jace gets fucking hit, oh my god, just so reminiscent and like just heart wrenching. But he ends up just getting hit like on the like one of the leather parts that are covering the dragon, so it doesn't necessarily penetrate the dragon, and he ends up getting out of that because Bela ends up helping him. But after that, dude, I would be like, all right, I've already got fucking hit. Like, we should probably get the fuck out of here and go get reinforcements. No, the dumb bastard ends up trying to stay and fucking. I don't know what his plan was, but it ends up getting him killed in the end. Like, Bela and Jace are trying to help Corliss. We see, Sea Snake trying to maneuver his way and like taking the Triarchy through this like narrow path of like what, like cliffs. And they of course end up making their way past it too. And then Reyna comes in with Sheep Stiller, and again, I don't. These fucking kids, man, they be getting on my nerves. Because what are they thinking? Reyna comes in with Sheep Stiller. I don't know what her plan was. This newly, he's not even fully tamed. He was a completely wild dragon. Comes in and just like starts killing the fucking wrong people. He's attacking Jace and Bela. Jace at one point is like getting ready to fucking fire back at her, and then he realizes, he's like, "Oh shit, it's Reyna." And yeah, just that whole thing. I'm just like, what the fuck are these kids doing? And then the other three dudes that we had, build up collecting them in season 2 are just like sitting over in the Riverlands, just like, waiting for Aemon to come with Vagar. And apparently, I had read that they were supposed to be in the Battle of the Gullet, and that was one of the creative choices that they chose to take out and do this for some reason. I'm not really sure how everything else played out, but um, this whole thing just kind of irritated me because I'm just like, what the fuck are these kids doing? But in the end, Corliss's one of his bastard sons, the one bald dude, he ends up, basically saving the day and, killing that annoying fucking bitch. I could not stand her at all. So he ends up killing her, and then Jace's dumbass ends up getting stuck, or his dragon ends up getting stuck. And again, very reminiscent of the ending seasons of Game of Thrones. I know we fucking hate them. Don't talk about them, but it still tore me up to see the dragons get killed then. Still tears me up to see them get killed now, especially out of the stupidity of other people. So they end up striking his dragon, pulling it into the sea, and we end with him getting arrowed to death. Which, honestly, man, I don't feel bad for him. I know he's a kid, but you feel like you grow up really quick in times like this. So it was a really dumbass move on his part. I just feel bad for Rhaenyra. I mean, she has just lost so much over and over and over again. Everything is against her. And obviously, she's going to end up losing at the end of all of this too. So it's just really sad to see that death, like him dying. I was completely unaware that that happened. So it did take me by surprise, and probably one of the more intriguing moments of the episode. So overall, like, it was a solid episode, nothing great. Last time I checked, I mean, it was last night. I checked and it was like almost out of 10 out of 10. I don't really feel that here. This is not a 10 out of 10 episode for me. I think it was just a solid, let's dip our toes in the pool and return back to form. I'd probably give it, like a decent 7 out of 10. I am excited. We're back. I am looking forward to watching this show every Sunday. I will be doing reviews every single week on it. So I am looking forward for what's to come. But man, after all this shit, there's going to be no peace between the green and the blacks. Um, that whole peace proposal that Allison had set out to put in place, is gone to shit. But oh, and there's one thing I didn't even talk about. Fucking Aemond is kissing his mother. That scene was, man, these Targaryens just love incest, don't they? I did not see that coming. I'm not really sure where they're going with this. Does it surprise me? A little bit, even though, the Targaryens be fucking everyone in their family. But yeah, that whole thing super uncomfortable. And even Alicent was like, "Whoa, whoa, like what the fuck is going on here?" So, not sure where that's going. Overall, like I said, decent episode. I'm excited for next week. But anyway, guys, that is it for me. I'm excited for the next episode, and we will talk again next week. Have you seen the episode yet? Are you team green? Are you team black? Let me know down in the comment section below. And if this is your first time on the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Otherwise, I will see you guys on the next Jared Report. Adios, my friends.